always say you always okay, so like people would always say that you need to find a career that you enjoy. I was enjoying accounting, but I just knew that something was off. And so luckily for me, I had mentors around me that could actually read you and tell you what is good for you. And then someone walked up to me and told me, I think you'd be very good with HRO. And that was how at first I brushed it off because I just couldn't smell. I used to think that the HR people are the ones that just sit in the office, sip coffee and all those stuff. But at the point, I just said, okay, let me just see what they have to offer. Then I went through their curriculum and decided to try it out. And so I had to drop accounting and start HR from the beginning again. And here we are. So
Okay,
that's
all
it.
right. That's a very brief one. I thought we are gonna hear more about, you and your journey and so forth. But it's fine. It's fine. Very okay. Maybe next time you tell us more, or as we share, you tell us some of your experiences, right? So
All
I
right.
want us to go into today's topic. I'm very, very, very what's the word? Interactive. And I like the sessions being very interactive. The people that have been joining so far know that I like asking questions. And I know that we're all at work. It's a Friday afternoon. We might not be able to unmute, but at least we can send in our contributions in the chat box, right? Just let us know what you feel, what your opinion is, based on what we are sharing with you this afternoon. So we're looking at figurehead HR, and it has been one of the topics, on my heart for so long because I have been a figurehead HR before, not because I intentionally wanted to, but circumstances, management, the people you're working with, your boss, we looked at these things last week and I just want us to brush over it. Who really is an HR? If figurehead HRs actually exist in the workplace or in the organization at large, we looked at who a figurehead HR is, what are their future features. We looked at to what extent, a little, we didn't really touch so much on it, right? We just looked at a bit. We looked at it a bit because our time was fast spent last week, and that's why we're having a part two today, right? So we looked at all of this last week. We asked the question that where does the authority that is supposed to be on the HR, where does it go if the HR is actually not being able to, practice that authority or use that authority? So to whom does it go to? The CEO, the MD, who exactly has the authority if the HR is just a figurehead, right? We looked at these features as well. We looked at, I'm just going to brush very quickly through it so we can go into what we want to discuss today. We looked at reasons an HR is just a figurehead HR. Why, right? That's why we established last week that it could be an intentional decision, right? There are HRs who really don't care. They care a bit, some care a bit, some just want to keep their jobs, some just want to earn their salaries, some just like the fact that they're HRs. I know people that just like the fact that, I'm an HR. It's a very cool, what do you call it now? It's a very cool job title or job role. Some people are HRs because it's a very popular, I don't know, should I call it a very popular career path now? Like somebody told me yesterday, I went for an HR event yesterday, and someone said HR is being regulated all across. Now everybody just wants to be an HR, but let's leave that aside. So what are the reasons, we have HRs who are just figureheads? We talked about it, past struggles with the CEO. We talked about personal lack of interest and passion. There are lots of HR that actually don't have passion for staff or even have passions for solving problems. They just want to be on that chair. Right? We have people who don't care because they're not being paid as much as they should be paid. We have figurehead HRs who are there because they're just figureheads because they don't have much information about what's happening in the company. They don't know why staff are not being paid salary on time. They don't know why lots of things are happening. If you ask them, they'll always say, I don't know. Management will, let us know. They're also saying let us together with the employees, which means they actually do not have any kind of decision-making authority and all of that. They do not have as much information. Right? We looked at a few things that makes an HR not a figurehead HR, an active HR, right? Being involved in strategic planning, being involved in workforce alignment, that has to do with all of the employee management um, processes and practices. We looked at an HR who is actively involved in decision making, right? So that makes an HR not a figurehead HR. So going into what we have today, pardon me if I'm rushing, it's because I'm not the one who's going to be doing much of the talking today, and I'm very excited. I also want to listen. I want to learn, right? So today we want to look at how much say does HRs have? Right. What do HRs have in critical organizational decisions? How much say do they have? This is where I am going to be handing over to Uche to share a few things that he believes in or what he thinks figurehead HR is. And then, of course, answering this question based on his own experience as well. So over to you, Uche.
All right. Thank you very much. So let me just reconfirm that everyone can hear me. Just to
Yes, we can
reconfirm.
hear you.
Okay. All right. So you probably have done justice to majority of the work that I want to do here. You've defined who a figurehead HR is. So I'll just put a summary to that part so that we'll be on the same side of the coin. All right. So who exactly is a figurehead HR? Someone who exists only in title, does not have influence, just has a title. People know that there's HR in the organization, but then, like you said, we're asking him a question as to what exactly is going on, and he's also asking you the management what exactly is going on. So he's just there. So he has the title, but not the influence, and then he has the symbol of authority, but he cannot create a change. So where you are in a place as an HR person and you really cannot create a change, you likely might fall into that bucket of the figurehead HR, right? So the opposite of the figurehead HR is the strategic HR, the HR who is strategic, the one who partners with leadership. Because the truth is, your job first is you're more of a middleman. So you should you cannot take side. You cannot take side with the business. You cannot take side with the staff. You have to be so the HR. So when we come towards the end, I would say a quote: the HR is not a thermometer; it's a thermostat. So you are not flowing with the HR is not the person that flows with when people are shouting, he's flowing with shouting. When people are sad, he's flowing with sad. No, he has to stay in the middle when the organization is in crisis. He's that person that should come in and find a leverage to reduce the crisis without selling yourself out. When the whole business is kind of dull, he's the same person that should come and put fire so that everyone would understand that this business has life. So the strategic HR is the person who partners with business. He partners with the leadership. He knows everyone in leadership. He has them by his side. He's the person who influences organizational culture. So every business has a culture. The earlier you understand the culture of your organization, the better for you. The reason why some people are figurehead, not because they want to be figurehead, but because the culture of the organization make them figurehead, not because they want to be. So if at the point of your interview you don't understand the culture of where you're going into, you likely might become a figurehead when you get in because the CEO in his mindset is seeing the HR as an admin, nothing more than admin. So you cannot advise me on resources. You cannot advise me on strategy. Yours is just to just the job is just to take attendance, register staff members as they're coming in. If you are in that part of the organization, then you likely might work double hard to gain respect in that place. So I always tell people from the point of interview, you can always tell if they really value the human resource in that department. And then for a strategic HR, you should be able to drive employee engagement. It's very important that you drive employee, but that's one of your core jobs to drive employee engagement. So if you're that type that is not a friendly type, I am not saying that the HR should be friendly as it were, but you need to have an open mindset. You need to be able to come close to the people that you are managing. So the HR should be able to drive employee engagement. That's strategic HR. Now we are looking at the opposite of the figurehead HR. Now the strategic HR should be able to tie people's initiative to business outcome. Remember that your job is not just to look at policies and procedures. Your job is to ensure that the business goals are achieved, even though you are managing humans. This is the humans that would drive the business vision. So the earlier you start tying people's job role to the business outcome, the better for you. So that is just the definition. I'm just trying to rub off that so that we are all on the same side. And about why, I said something earlier that the culture of a place likely would make you if you get a child if you're not careful. So some environments are like that. Some businesses just deliberately put you in that position and they tell you, oh, sorry, this is what you should do. In fact, as you're coming, they've given you your job, they've given you your job role, and they tell you that this is what you should do. Anything aside this job role, you cannot attend strategic meetings, you cannot attend ops meetings. All you just need to do is look at the attendance sheet, employ, you know, in fact, you cannot even fire because that role is from the MD. Yeah. So if you're in that line, I'm so sorry, you need to start praying and working double hard to bring yourself out. And again, one of the reasons why some people are figurehead, um, leadership blind spots. Some organizations just undervalue HR. Some people just have that hatred for HR. It's not something that is not your doing.
I agree.
Yeah, sometimes it's just their upbringing, their experiences. Some people have worked. Some people have worked in fact, some people why they were growing up or in their career line, they've had issues with human resources. So when they are not MDs or they not own their companies, then they just remember that this person gave me tough time. So in their head, they already boxed you already. That I don't want you to do this. I don't want to say this.
Yeah, they put
So
a limit there.
yes, so you can't do anything. So it's not your fault. So other if you find yourself in that point, then like I said, there are things you need to do to get yourself out. There are some metrics that a leader would never say no to. So you need to start learning those metrics to be able to get yourself out of that figurehead um, glitch to becoming a strategic person. And then skill gaps. I always tell people if you're an HR person and you do not have credentials to show that you're an HR person, you likely might become a figurehead because they just see you like every other person in the organization. You're in HR, you are processing human resources in Nigeria, and you're not a member of CIPM, then
Hmm.
something is wrong.
Stray bullets.
Yes, something is wrong. Yeah, it means that you're just as useless as you're just as straight as every other person in the organization.
Or you don't have
Because
any certification at all.
at all, at all. So because people respect people who are members of global organizations or global bodies. So CIPM is recognized worldwide. It is recognized. In fact, CIPM now has a partnership with CIPD UK.
Yeah, I heard that
Yes.
yesterday. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So once you're a member of CIPM and you are abroad, in fact, it gives you easy access to get that certification because they already have a partnership. So people respect when you're a member of CIPM. So just imagine you are in an organization and they are reading portfolios and they want to read your and you are saying, oh, the head of accounting is a member of ACCA, the head of sales and marketing, the member of the sales and marketing, and then they now get to human resources. They just tell you that, oh, he read BSc in
Oh my
international.
lord.
In fact, that already puts you off in that meeting. So I always tell people,
Get
even though
certified.
you even though you're already there, get certified. In fact, you cannot go a step ahead to get global certification because that puts you on a global scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, so skill gaps is one of the reasons why people become figureheads. Then, like you mentioned when you were doing introduction, fear is another reason why some people become figureheads. Some people are afraid to challenge the process. An HR person, if you're an HR person, you're ready to challenge anything,
Yeah.
especially when they are contrary to the policies,
That
when they
you
are
hold.
contrary to
Mm-hmm.
global law, when they are contrary to global laws, local laws. This then means that you need to understand all this law. You need to be well read. Like I tell people as an HR person, in a month you should attend at least one training. In fact, I tell people as an HR person in a month at least four trainings. But let's say you're very busy. one training
Four.
per month.
So I've never attended one. You said four.
So let's say you're extremely very busy, then attend one training per month. Because what that training gives you is that it opens your mindset to the things are beginning to get evolved. The things we know back then have
Yeah. Yeah.
leveraging on the knowledge of the past, then you'll be lost.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine, just imagine metrics have changed, and then your CEO knows these metrics, and then he calls you in a public meeting, just invites you, and then you are still dwelling on the past. He
Hmm.
won't say anything in his mind. He has already profiled you already. Next
He has
meeting, he's
put you
gonna
on a
bring you in.
level.
Yes, so that way, so HR should never be afraid to challenge the status quo if they're not in. I'm not saying you should go around challenging everything. Just make sure you understand policies, you understand local laws, you understand everything. Then, if at any point they are deviating, your job is to bring them back
Hmm.
to yes, to what it's supposed to be. Then, like you said, some HR people are just lazy. Some HR people are just called nominal HRs. Nominal HR in the sense that they
Yep.
just like the name. Just like the name, I just want to be called HR in a way people were this guy is an HR person. Where the swelling, like
They think
but some
HR
HR person.
department is for the fun.
Yes, so that's what I used to think until when I got into it. But the thing that helped me was that I understood SOPs. I love to
Mm.
read policy. Yeah, so
Policies,
so
procedures. Yeah.
even so even when I was in accounting, I used to challenge my HR guys because by the time I'll be challenging you based on the SOP of the organization, not what I think it is.
What you
So if
know,
you're
the
not,
fact that you know.
yes, yes. So if you don't understand your policies as an HR person, then once you lose that battle when it comes to policies, trust me, you have lost it.
Hmm.
So at every point you're being challenged, you should be able to stand your ground and say, no, this is the right policy. You need to find a way around it to bring back that winning point to your side because you are supposed to be custodians of the laws and the policies of the organization. So you should know better than anyone in that place. So that is just a few reasons why people have to connect each other. Then we now move to um so for figure HR, like you said, if you find yourself in that box, the first thing that it does for you is that you lose your respect, both with leadership, you lose respect with employees. You know, you'll be in an organization, things will be happening, and then the CEO, they'll be reporting to the CEO directly instead of them routing the request through you.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah, so
God.
you just lose respect totally. And that's the worst thing that can happen to any HR, that people just keep you. People
Yeah.
are looking for they're looking for SOPs, they're looking for job description, they skip you, they go to the CEO. That thing can be very painful. And so if you find yourself in that box, there are things you can do to bring back that winning point to your side. And then for figure HR, one of the implications is that you lose trust. Apart from respect, you lose trust. You know, people just see you as a puppet. When you speak, you would just hear things like they fade him, they are controlling him. He does not have say by himself. That thing can be very, very
They are
painful.
controlling him.
Yeah, so once you get to that point where they say, they are controlling this one like this, you need to start finding a way to get yourself out of that box. And then the other thing with figure HR, one of the applications of figure HR is that you have a store growth. Your growth is going to be distorted. In fact, at some point, you start fighting for promotion.
Yeah.
You start fighting for growth, for promotion, because they don't see your value. In fact, they
Mm.
don't even see the reason why they should promote you because you've not done anything. In their head, they don't do the work. You're just sitting down there. So you
Uche, what about this? Sorry to interrupt you. What about the statement that some of these figurehead HRs always say? Like the management is looking into it. We talked about that last week. Everything you go to them for, the management is looking into it. The management is looking into it. Management will get back to you. Like they have no information, they have no way forward, they have no solution. The management is always looking into it. I mean, what is the
should
solution
be
to that?
should be told. Sometimes the management is actually looking
I
into it. Should be
agree
told.
with you. What about the other
Yes.
times that They are just
So
not doing
for the,
anything about
you
it.
know, for a human resource person, you are supposed to be well informed and versatile. So the best way to put yourself in a safe bucket is not to guess. Because
Mm.
sometimes you might guess and something comes out, right? And the moment you lose that battle of right information, you've lost it. So it's better to just tell them the manager to get is working on it, and they'll get back to you. However, what makes the difference is that you need to give them a timeline. Okay, so the management is working on it. I should get back to you guys in 2 weeks' time. So the moment you put a timeline to an information, it makes you strategic. It means that even though you don't have that information, in 2 weeks' time, you should be able to get that information and get back to them. So a lot of people just tell you they are working on it, and that's all. And they're like, how long? So, but the moment you say the management is working on it, but should get back to you guys in a week's time, in 2 weeks' time, or so time, I'll get back to you. So it makes you strategic. So even if you don't have that information, you start working towards that timeline.
Towards that.
So the moment you
Okay.
put, yes, so the moment you put the timeline to something, it makes you strategic. It means that you know what you are doing.
Okay. So can you speak to employees now? Because I'm sure we have people that are not HRs on this call that have HRs
Okay.
that are figureheads, right? Last time we had two people actually put it in the chat box that they have an HR that's just not involved in, doesn't know anything, doesn't, so what can employees do if they have HRs that are figureheads, they're not effective, they don't make decisions, they don't really know how to help employees? What should the employees do to put that kind of HR not on their toes or to not to disrespect them, but like to get the best from them because the HRs are being paid to do this job, right? Like you said something earlier, why
Definitely.
should employees keep HR and go to other colleagues or go to the MD or go to the CEO when they could come to them? I was sharing last week that I had my staff come to me for things that I felt like it's not even my job, but that's because they felt
Mhm.
safe to talk to me about it. They felt like if I speak to her, she's going to have a solution or she's going to help in one way or the other. But that's not the case for some HR. So what should employees do in, cases like this where they have figurehead HRs who are passionless, if there's such a word, who are lazy, who do not read, who do not want to have much information, who do not want to even prefer solution. What should employees do?
Okay, so the first thing I'll always say is that to be candid, in reality, you know, especially if you work for a woman organization, there's nothing you can do. If
Absolutely.
you work
I agree
if
with
you
you.
work for a woman if you work for a woman organization, there's nothing you can do because the head of the person controls all the policies.
Yeah, sure.
So so when I'm speaking to people, I always want to find out, okay, so your organization, what's your structure like? So if you start telling me, okay, so even though we have these policies, but when the ND says, so I just know that okay, so they have two policies in that place. They have the normal policy for the organization, and then they have the owner's policy. And most often than not, you always hear that, culture will eat strategy for breakfast. No matter how much you plan, culture will always clear it out. Yeah, so the owner will always dictate. Yeah, so if your company is not a woman business, then there are other things you can start doing. Now, one of the
Mhm.
things that I used to do for is in some of the organizations that I worked, one of the things I used to do for them, especially when I feel that the HR should be able to drive this. So what I used to do for them is, like I said, I started reading SOPs, I started reading laws when I was doing accounting. So in my free periods, I just go to they have this um what do you call it? They have this page in intranet where they host all the policies of the company, everything, the handbook. In my break time, I just go to the internet, pick up
It's
laws.
you
I can pick
now.
up.
You are very
Uh,
serious minded. How you
so
using break time to read SOPs? Hey.
Yeah, so my break time I can go into because in the internet they break it down into departmental SOPs. So I can pick up sales SOP and start reading. I want to understand what they do there. I want to understand so what guides them so that next time I'm talking to them I can speak their language. Yeah, so when you have all those information in your head and you want to speak to the human resources, for example,
Mm.
let me share a story. In one of the companies that I worked for, I had an accident one time when I was coming from work. It was very serious. In fact, it was so bad that we had ambulance came to pick us up. But me, I was still I was still conscious of myself. So I told them to go and pick the other people. And luckily for me, in those era, I never used to lock my phone. My phone were always, there was nothing like you lock your phone. Now that we used to lock our phone, then my phone used to be unlocked. So luckily for me, I doubt the person, the last person I called before the accident happened, the person came to pick me up. So I was in a hospital that was not covered by the HMO.
Wow.
I was in a hospital that was not covered. So I was there for 2 weeks. So when I was
Wow.
released, when I got out of the hospital, I still had this sling, this sling on my hand. I had bandage on my leg, so I went to work. So on getting to work, I took all my, receipts, my bill payment receipts, to the HR office that okay, oh, let me go and
Tell
file
me
for
they didn't
claim.
pay it. Just tell me
Ah,
already.
wait now. So in fact, when I got to work and I brought everything out, my colleague said, you don't pay here, oh. That moment you go out of line to use one hospital that is not covered by HMO, they won't pay you. I was like, no be me again. Now go there here, the money go come out. So just went to the
Oh
HR
my
office.
God.
I didn't go to the director's office straight. I went to the assistant office and told him, please do, I want to file for claim. So I brought everything and the guy was like, so how are we sure? How are we sure that you had an accident?
Eh?
I was like, yeah, that was the first one he asked me. Now, how am I sure he had an accident? I was like,
But
so
you
what
actually
happened?
brought all the evidences. Like,
So let's even assume that I didn't bring any evidence. I came with a sling. I had
on
a
your
POP on my
arm.
hand, and I came with a sling. Then I had the bandage
From
on my
me to
leg. And then
one
you're
day
asking me,
alone.
and then the next thing he would say was that I should bring pictorial evidence of the accident.
Picture
In fact,
like well like so it's like Fast and Furious. Somebody's actually filming you while you're having the accident. Well,
thank
what are they even
you.
talking about?
Yeah, so at first I was still composed, but when he now said that I should bring picture
You were even
evidence,
composed. I would have lost all composure.
I was like, sorry, excuse me, I don't understand. And then
Oh my
in
God.
that company, my mentor was still in that company. So what I did was I just left his office, went to meet my mentor and explained to him. So he was one who was he was even madder, if it's like that. He was madder than I was. And so he went to meet him. So the guy was like, so okay, someone has given you X-ray. He came with POP. What else do you want?
You want.
So so from that side, they now took the stuff to the director of human resources. That one too was looking at me, and I told him, "Your policy is there in your policy. It's just a pity that people don't read. That is there in your policy. That when there's an accident, that when there's a fatal accident, and a staff finds himself in an HMO in an hospital that is not covered by HMO, as long as the staff is able to bring evidence, it was then I said putting the SOP for him. He
I
didn't know
trust you. I know you. You
he
must have
himself
been
didn't
reading
know
it out
he himself didn't even know that
section by section like
it
a
was in the
lawyer.
SOP. He didn't know it was in the SOP, so he had to go and. In fact, I told him he should open the intranet.
I
He's on
know.
social section,
And tell him
so
the
he now
section.
said, "Okay."
I know you.
That was like I got my money back. Oh,
See, Uche, see, we don't even have time. So, this session is just for 5 minutes. I honestly wish that we can cover all the solutions, even though you have mentioned so much to us, Uche, at this moment in time. Oh my God, you have mentioned so much to us. We have less than I even thought we would have. Left to me, we should just continue the session, without interruptions and all of that. But we have like a minute to end this session. It's very short. It felt like we've
really?
only been talking
Wow.
for 10 minutes, but we've been on for 45 minutes actually. So I don't know if we'll have to do another part of this topic next week. Uche will be back with us again. I want us to look at practical solutions next week, like what we can do both for employees and for HRs. You have
HR,
shared
yeah.
some of them with us today, but it was such in a rush. So I want us to take time to actually look at those solutions. Thank you guys for joining today. You guys mean a lot to me. I can't mention your names because we don't have time. Thank you so much, Uche, for the wisdom shared so far and for everyone. I love you
Welcome.
guys. Just before it cuts off and goes off, thank you, thank you, thank you. See you guys next week. Please don't forget to join every Fridays, 3 p.m. God bless you guys.